Things are going to begin a little differently than what it is outlined on the order of service this morning. Um, Yesterday or Friday, Vivian was released from, I forget the name of that street, the healthcare center where she was at. Summerfield, that's it. And her friend Mary Lord took her home, and 5 minutes after she got home, Summerfield called and said, "Oh, by the way, you tested positive for COVID, Vivian." So our healthcare workers that were scheduled to be there said, "We aren't vaccinated. We quit. We'll be back when sometime." And so uh, Janet Tonelli actually stayed with Vivian for about 12 hours. And perhaps um, Gene Wallace was there for a while as well, but I talked with Janet. And Vivian's not doing very well. Health-wise, she has no symptoms. She seems to be very healthy, but she's very confused, has trouble running a telephone that has buttons on it. She just, yesterday, it wouldn't work. She couldn't hear anybody. Then she called 17 times. She's really struggling right now. And I don't imagine she's going to be at home very long. She needs to be in a facility. But at any rate, our thanks very much to Janet Tonelli. However, Janet was scheduled to do the mini message today. And yesterday afternoon, she called me and said, she's not so worried about herself. She's been vaccinated, but she spent all day in the same room with Vivian with no mask. And she thinks that she should stay home because she doesn't want to pass it on to anybody. And I thought that was very thoughtful. So we don't have a mini message person for today. However, being the clever and ever resourceful fellow that I am, I thought about our talk today. And we're going to talk about celebrating ourselves, me, myself, and I. And I couldn't think of any better way to kick that off than to ask Dave if he would read Charlie Chaplin's poem, As I Began to Love Myself. Dave, would you come and do that for us, please?
As I Began to Love Myself, a self-love poem by Charlie Chaplin. As I began to love myself, I found that anguish and emotional suffering are only warning signs that I was living against my own truth. Today, I know this is authenticity. As I began to love myself, I understood how much it can offend somebody. I tried to force my desires on this person, and even though I knew the time was not right, and the person was not ready for it, and even though this person was me, today I call it respect. As I began to love myself, I stopped craving for a different life, and I could see that everything that surrounded me was inviting me to grow. Today I call it maturity. As I began to love myself, I understood that at any circumstance, I am in the right place at the right time, and everything happens at exactly the right moment. So I could be calm. Today I call it self-confidence. As I began to love myself, I quit stealing my own time, and I stopped designing huge projects for the future. Today I only do what brings me joy and happiness, things I love to do that make my heart cheer, and I do them in my own way and in my own rhythm. Today I call it simplicity. As I began to love myself, I freed myself from anything that is no good for my health: food, people, things, situations, and everything that drew me down and away from myself. At first I called this attitude healthy egoism. Today I know it is love of oneself. As I began to love myself, I quit trying to always be right. And ever since I was wrong less of the time. Today I discovered that that is modesty. As I began to love myself, I refused to go on living in the past and worry about the future. Now I only live for the moment, where everything is happening. Today I live each day, day by day, and call it fulfillment. As I began to love myself, I recognized that my mind can disturb me and it can make me sick. But as I connected it to my heart, my mind becomes a valuable ally. Today I call this connection wisdom of the heart. We no longer need to fear arguments, confrontations, or any kind of problems with ourselves or others. Even stars collide, and out of their crashing, new worlds are born. Today I know that is life.
David, thank you. That is on the back of your order of service, as most of you have figured out. Please take it home and put it somewhere in your office or on your desk, or tape it on the side of the refrigerator. And once in a while, just give yourself a refresher course on loving yourself. Thanks again, David. Well, good morning. I'm glad to see everyone. We have a lot of things going on in the very near future. Wednesday evening, we'll have discussion group right here at 7 p.m. And Susan's going to facilitate that this week. Thursday morning, it will be this Thursday morning at 10 o'clock in the hall. The ladies group gets together, the ladies book study, the spiritual book study, is that right? Yeah. Okay, 10 o'clock. I'm sure there are blank spaces, especially on the Sundays, on the sign up for flowers calendar in the back. If you'll please take a look at that. That's a way that you can share abundance and beauty quite easily. And Bill and Evelyn, thank you for this morning. Let me see. We're going to start something new. Actually, we're going to start again something next Sunday. We have a board meeting at 9 o'clock. That's not new. It runs till 10. But then at 10:10, Natalie is going to facilitate our pre-church meditation like we used to do for so many years, starting at 10:10 till 10:35. That's 25 minutes. Still gives us time for our pianists and special music to set up and do whatever we need in the sanctuary. So next week, it starts 10:10 till 10:35 right here. Have 25 minutes of guided meditation. Let me see, there's something else I wanted to talk about. I just don't remember. Oh, next Sunday after church, we're going to sit around and have fellowship and take a knife and a fork, plastic knife, plastic fork, and a napkin and roll them up and put them in a pan for our pancake breakfast so we don't have to do it on the following Saturday morning. And the Saturday, we could use some volunteers from 6 a.m. till about 10:30 or 11 a.m., whatever you can wrap around. We show up at 6, couple get at 5, but everybody else can come at 6. It's light enough to start setting the tables up out in the grass, the chairs, set up the grills, put on tablecloths, put out the syrups and the butters and all those things. We start serving pancakes at 8 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, we stop. The parade starts at exactly 10 o'clock. It goes right here. You can watch the parade. And then if you want, go down to the park. And then, but at 10 o'clock, we start cleaning up. And usually by 11, it's a memory, a very pleasant memory. So you are all invited to participate in whatever fashion. And there always seems to be enough help, enough pancakes, enough fun, and enough people to eat the pancakes. So we'll see how it goes again this year. And it is free, by the way. So if you know people that have a bunch of young'uns, this is the place to be on Kids Day. Fill up their little bellies so they aren't wanting mom and dad to buy all the high dollar food down at the park. Any other announcements? If not, let's stand up and sing a song we haven't sung in quite some time. The Wonderful Words of Life, 190 in the Wings of Song. Now, before we greet each other, I failed to remember in a timely fashion. Be clear, I did not forget. I just failed to remember in a timely fashion. This is probably the last time we're going to see Emily Dye in a while. I heard tell she's moving back east and stuff like that. So we may want to offer our good wishes and hopes for a peaceful and joy filled future wherever you like down at. So it's been nice having you with us, Emily, and thank you for all you've done with us and for us over these years. So it's time to welcome each other.
Years ago, I found this. Everything is packaged with this. I found this book 10 years ago. It's Swedish books by Gudrun S.J.O.T. And it's all natural fibers, so like which is not sales, so it's like twice a year. That's when I'm crazy.
Wow, what someone has done to me that the song has been her voice. Photoshop the softness outside of it. It was like Hello. Great.
It's very special. Like the song
I just can't get over it. It was orchestral and the way it was like every detail commercialized to the max. Yeah. We did it for $100.
Yeah, no, they had a picture and then.
Yeah, we put some corkboard on Bob's bedroom and we recorded, made our own studio.
Everybody needs to feature.
Well, it says here on the menu that it's time to think and talk about abundance. And whenever Ananda is with us, I am just elated and very aware of the abundance that this young man brings to our community. Ananda, come on up if you will, please. Come right up here with me, buddy. You know, this young guy brings to us not only his unbelievable intelligence and intellect, he brings to us this energy that is unclouded by all the years of bumps and bruises and entanglements and expectations that we more senior folks seem to have an abundance of. And he brings us some of this pure love and enthusiasm for life. And I can't think of anything to be more thankful of to have this type of abundance in our community. So, how have you been, young man?
Good. We just got back from Maine.
Yeah, so what did you do in Maine?
Saw some friends, went to the lake and saw a bunch of cousins.
Cousins?
Played
Yeah.
a lot of tennis.
All right, well, good. Did you go out and have any lobsters?
Nope.
No lobsters? Okay. But you went to the lake?
Yep.
All right, good. Did you tell everybody about this good-looking old guy that's the minister back here? No pen pals? You didn't bring any pen pals or anything?
Not
Well, you
really.
can work on that your next trip. Ananda, thanks for being here, my friend. And thank you again for ringing the bell this morning. Let's read together our affirmation of abundance for this month. Gratitude is the key to the realization and manifestation of abundance. May we ponder that profound statement for a moment. Thank you, Debbie. As we prepare ourselves for the practice, let's sing together In the Stillness of the Silence, number 97 in the Wings.
Good morning. It's wonderful to be back here after a couple weeks away and see all your shiny faces. The practice that came to me for today is one that we actually, I guess I had done it before, but I reconnected with it on this trip. And it's a yoga breathing practice that really forms the foundation of the yoga philosophy and approach to wellness and happiness. Just as a little backstory, there's actually in this rural part of Maine where I go in the summer, there's an ashram where a group of about maybe 30 people have created a community based on yogic principles and teachings. And they have, their only electricity comes from a couple of solar panels, and they have composting toilets, and it's all very ecological. And there's really something about going to a place like that and spending some time that really just, it felt like it reset me. And I think this breathing practice may have the power to do the same. But as I'm leading you through it, what I really like to share is what that place felt like, kind of the grounding and the presence and the calm and the unpluggedness of it. So just try and tune into the energy behind what I say, even as I speak. This is called 3-part breathing in yoga, and it's designed to be done throughout a physical practice of yoga, to generate prana, or life force. And the main thing to understand is you're trying to bring the breath first to the bottom of the lungs, then to the middle part of the lungs, then to the upper part in sequence, and emptying them in the reverse order, upper to middle to low. And just notice as we go through a few rounds of breath where it feels a little harder to get the breath to fill. We all just, from habit, have different places where we hold our breath, so it's a good way to become aware of that. So to begin with, and it's all done through the nose, the breathing's all done through the nose, so it should work even with a mask on. To begin with, just again, draw your attention to that strong, it's like almost like a forest green color energy. And even with the sound of traffic outside, see if you can tune into this place in the wilderness of Maine. There's no sound of traffic, barely any sign of civilization, but just a desire to connect with truth. And on the inhale, bring your awareness all the way to the bottom of your lungs. Breathe in strongly, fully, and see the breath now in the middle part of your lungs and in the upper part. And as it fills, slowly let it release from upper to middle to low. See if you can make your exhales a little longer than your inhales. Breathing in to that deep lung space, filling it completely, and then the same with the middle lung space and the upper lung space. And breathing out, upper, middle, lower. Practice this a couple of times more on your own. Just noticing what there is to notice without judgment. Noticing if it makes you feel a little more alive. And again, all the way down, into the middle, to the top. And after you finish your last round, just sit and breathe normally. Know that this space is available for you at any time. In the simplicity of an inhale and an exhale. Thank you.
We talk so often, or I speak so often, about recognizing the value of other people, of other people's actions. And today I'd like us to think about ourselves, your value. I had a friend some time ago. He fell in love. He was totally smitten. He said, I'm so in love. He said, she makes me so happy. I said, well, actually, that's not true. She treats you very well. She gives you pleasure. She makes you feel connected and like you have purpose and connection and value. But I said the happiness that you are feeling is actually you realizing who you have become as you participate in relationship with this other person. You have become like the perpetual Boy Scout. Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. You take a shower so you don't stink. You take lots of showers so you don't stink. You watch what comes out of your mouth so you don't appear too stupid. You wear clothes that you try to make sure somewhat match. You look for ways to be thoughtful and courteous. You open doors. You say please and thank you. You are actually happy, realizing who you are. Because what you are demonstrating, what you are aware of, is your best self. And that is what you are attempting to share with this person, is your best self. And as I look at this congregation, I see how all of you share your best selves with these people in this community. I just thought of something, and this may or may not have a whole lot to do with what I'm talking about, but sharing your best self. When I first came here 21 years ago, there were two families. One of them was Bonnie's brother, Cecil and Lillian Dixon. The other family was Bill and Pat Eckert. And 21 years ago, these two families, there were other people that showed up from time to time, but these two families showed up here every single Saturday morning to share their best self. The gals would trim all the roses and the bushes and pick up stuff and just do groundskeeping. And the two guys, who were both in their 70s at this point, mowed the grass, the front yard and the backyard, with a push reel mower like they had back in the 50s. And these guys were out there all year round, sweating, working, blisters. All four of these people served and shared their best self every Saturday. Bonnie, am I right? I'm exactly right. I decided as the guys got a little older that I would help because I was full of enthusiasm and wanting to serve. I mowed this entire yard once with that reel mower. And then mysteriously, I found $150 to go to Walmart and buy a gas-powered mower that you just kind of push. And that's what we've been using ever since. Don't ever know what happened to the old reel mower. But these folks, if you looked at their families, Bill and Pat would squabble amongst themselves. They'd just argue out in the grass and just yip. That's how they lived. But when it came to Church of the Oaks and their community and their families, Cecil and Lillian were just the loveliest people you would ever want to meet. And their families reflected it because they shared their best self. They shared that happiness and joy they had within them with their families and the people around them. And some of you remember Pat and Bill and Cecil and Lillian. And this is just something else that I'm not supposed to know about, but in that point in time I had every Sunday, whether they were here or not. I don't know why it came out this way, but both families left a $50 check each in the basket every week, whether they were here or not. They continued to share the best of themselves, always. You know, I think about what might block this thing we call self-love, self-appreciation, celebrating our own worth and value. And I think that one of the biggest things that I think about is expectation. You know, we all have these expectations about, yes, this is going to be it, and I expect this, and we get so tied up with an expected outcome. And when that doesn't come to pass, we have disappointment and anguish. I'll give you an example. My mother passed away in February. Her ashes are at my daughter's house in Akron, Ohio. And I have been planning on this fall going back to Ohio and driving 180 miles down to our family plot at the cemetery to put her ashes. Well, I decided with this COVID thing still going on, and I think I'm going to wait till spring, just see. But a couple weeks ago, I got out my suitcases. I'm getting ready, knock the dust, make sure I unpack the stuff from the last trip. I didn't want any surprises of dirty socks and underwear, you know. So anyway, I cleaned them all up. And then a few days ago, I decided I'm not going. So I grabbed my suitcase. I said, sorry, boys, we're not going to do it this fall. And I put them away. Now, I am forced to deal with all that emotional baggage. That was supposed to be a joke. All right, it wasn't a joke. Anyway, emotion. Okay. Well, moving right along. Our expectations. I think it was Will Rogers who said, never, the one thing you can count on with every person you know is that at some point they will let you down. But it has nothing to do with that other person or what they do or don't do. That is entirely based on your expectation of that other person. And to put expectation in the context of this self-love, we all expect ourselves to be this or do that or complete this or achieve this. And that starts, folks, from the time we're Ananda's age in school. We hear these other expectations of people, so we expect ourselves to be a straight A student or be on the varsity basketball team or football or track, and we don't make it. And we have disappointment. We have not loathing maybe, but real low self-esteem. And I think that at this juncture of time, if we look at our society and the pressure and the peer pressure that our young people face through school, is it any wonder that we have so many 20-year-olds and people in their 20s walking around with alcohol or drug addiction problems or self-esteem problems? They have counseling issues. Maybe they just become antisocial and just stay home and extract themselves from mainstream society because of the disappointment from all these expectations that society deems necessary for us to have. Well, I'm going to tell you something now that I have said several times, but I'm going to say it again because I think it is the truth. When you are filled with joy and happiness in celebrating your own worth, your own existence, your own being, your best self that you are aware of, there isn't room in you for pity, anger, disappointment, grief. When you are filled with gratitude and caring and appreciation for other people, there is not room in you for hatred or contempt or fear or anger. It can't exist in the same space. So I encourage each of you, read this at least once a week and remember, you have value. You are not subject to anyone's judgment, not even your own. You have value. You have the ability to show kindness and compassion to other people, to yourself. And that's very important, to honor and respect yourself. You don't have to judge yourself. And be aware of all that you are. Nobody that has ever lived or will ever live on this entire planet has experienced the things that you have. Your life journey, your life experience is absolutely unique to you. And you have done all that trip. You've traveled this road to this point in time, and you're still here. And you have survived, you have learned, you have been bruised, you have healed in a unique way that no other human being ever has or ever will. And if that isn't worth loving and caring and respecting, I don't know what is. In this world, there seems to be so much crap and corruption, nasty stuff. And it's out there. It's like everywhere. But you don't have to let it in. In fact, there's not even room for it to get in. If your life is filled with caring and gratitude and love and empathy and compassion and kindness, that's why we come here every Sunday, week after week, year after year, is to learn ways to be able to have this consciousness of positiveness, of harmony with all of life, to allow us to avoid taking into our consciousness all the crap and corruption and the nasty that's out there. And when we learn to love ourselves, like my buddy, he learned to love himself. And he and his wife are happy and still married and have babies, and they love each other. And they love life. And there's no reason, not a single reason, no matter what we've been through, no matter how many bruises and scars that each one of us might have, there is no reason we can't look at ourselves and see how unique and special we are. The atoms and molecules and matter that make up these bodies also are the molecules and atoms and matter that make up this entire universe. We're all part of it. And each one of us takes up this little space for a reason that I don't think any of us has the capacity to figure out. Well, maybe Ananda could figure out exactly why, but most of us don't have a clue. All we know is we're part of it. And if we're part of it smiling rather than frowning, life is more enjoyable, not only for us, for those around us. Read Charlie's poem often and love yourself. I love me a lot.
We love you too.
That's good. That's good. Let's stand up now and sing. I think this song is our favorite song, Imagine.
Just a sec.
Take as long as you need, Debbie. It's all right. We're just here, just all of us in the moment. Natalie, that's Joelle. Mike, Natalie, and Dave. And your name, your name. Yeah.